An angel spoke to him and said this. The angel's advice changed his business. What if a single divine encounter could completely transform your life and your business? This is the incredible story of a man who went from nearly going bankrupt to achieving unimaginable success, all because of advice he received from an angel. The question is, could this advice be the answer you're also looking for? David was an ordinary small businessman who ran a modest hardware store in a quiet town. His store was his pride and joy, inherited from his father. But times had changed. Large chains had moved into the area, competition was fierce, and customers were increasingly scarce. David tried everything he could think of: discounts, advertisements, even staying open later. But nothing seemed to work. Each month brought more bills, fewer sales, and increasing pressure. By the end of the year, it was about to close its doors for good. One fateful night, David sat alone in his dimly lit office. The sound of rain against the windows reflected the storm in his heart. He whispered a prayer, his voice trembling. "God, I've done everything I can. If there is a way out, please show me." As I fell into an uneasy sleep, something extraordinary happened. David found himself in a vivid dream. Standing in the middle of his store, the lights were brighter than usual, and everything had a golden glow. Suddenly, a figure appeared, a radiant angel with a calm yet powerful presence. The angel spoke. "David, your struggles have been heard. I have come to bring a message that will change the course of your life and your business, but you must listen carefully and act with courage." David felt a mixture of admiration and disbelief. He managed to ask, "What do I need to do?" The angel's response was both simple and profound. "Shift your focus from selling to serving. When you prioritize the needs of others, blessings will come back to you in abundance." David woke up with a start, with the angel's words echoing in his mind. He didn't know if it had been a dream or a divine encounter, but one thing was clear: he had received new direction. The next morning, David made the first move. He started by offering free workshops on home repairs and basic do-it-yourself skills. Customers who had stopped coming to the store began to return, not just for the tools, but for the knowledge and care David offered. The news quickly spread throughout the city. People admired David's dedication to helping others, and his store became a community gathering place. Sales began to grow, but more importantly, David noticed a change in how he viewed his business. It was no longer just about survival, it was about impact. One day, a local journalist visited the store to tell the story of the little hardware store with a big heart. The item gained attention, bringing in even more customers. But that wasn't the end of the surprises. A week later, a man entered the store. He presented himself as an investor, specializing in supporting small businesses. He had read the article and was impressed by David's philosophy. After a long conversation, the investor offered to become David's partner and expand his store into a franchise model that could take his Serve First concept to other cities. David couldn't believe what he was hearing. Months ago, it was on the verge of closing. Now he was faced with an opportunity to expand his business beyond his wildest dreams. But with growth came new challenges. As David navigated the complexities of expansion, he remembered the angel's advice: always prioritize service over profit. Whenever he faced a difficult decision, he asked himself, "How can I serve others through this?" The result was a thriving business model that brought not only financial success, but also created a ripple effect of positivity throughout the communities the store reached. Years later, David found himself reflecting on the journey that had led him there. One night, sitting in his living room, he had another dream. The angel appeared once again, this time with a broader message. "You used the blessings you received to bless others. Never forget, that prosperity is not just about wealth, but about the lives you touch. Continue on this path, and the rewards will be eternal. David woke up feeling a renewed sense of purpose. He began sharing his story with others, through videos, public talks, and mentorships for small business owners. His message was simple but powerful. Success is not in how much you take, but in how much you give. Trust in God's plan, act in faith, and watch miracles happen. After meeting with the investor and initial growth, David began to reflect on how his life had changed since that night the angel appeared. He decided to share his story with his local church, believing others could benefit from the message he received. On the day of the testimony, David was nervous. He had never spoken in public before. However, upon entering the pulpit, something unexpected happened. He felt an overwhelming peace, as if he were being guided by the same angel who gave him the advice. He started by sharing his initial struggle and how he almost lost everything. As he told about the angel's advice, he saw tears in the audience's eyes. When he finished, he said, "If God can transform my business, He can transform your life. But you need to take the first step in faith." The impact of the testimony was immediate. People began approaching David after the service, asking for advice and sharing their own financial struggles. Inspired, he created a small group at church called Entrepreneurs with Purpose, where he taught the principles he had learned: focus on service, trust in God, and strategic action. At first, the group was small, but it soon grew. Other business people in the city began applying the same principles and reported similar transformations. David's story was no longer just his, it became a community movement. As the movement grew, David faced a new dilemma: how to maintain a balance between community impact and the continued growth of his business. He began to feel the weight of his new responsibility. The store was expanding rapidly, franchises required more attention, and he felt he was losing focus on his initial purpose. It was then that he decided to take a day to fast and pray. During this time, he felt a new revelation. Success must be shared. You are not alone. Delegate and trust other leaders. David began training trusted people to lead parts of the business and movement, allowing him to focus on his larger mission. As David celebrated his team's success, a new crisis emerged. One of the franchise stores was facing financial problems and received criticism for not following the principles of the service model. David knew he needed to act quickly to protect the brand's reputation and the impact it was making. He visited the store in person and had a heart-to-heart with the manager. During the conversation, he again shared the angel's advice and reinforced the focus on service. This intervention saved the store and reinforced the importance of remaining faithful to the original purpose. Later, the store manager commented, "I was blinded by profit, but now I understand the true meaning of success. Thank you for reminding me." Years later, David was no longer just a businessman. He was an inspiration to thousands. Their stores were present in several cities, and the Entrepreneurs with Purpose movement had helped countless families find success and purpose. However, David never forgot his humble beginnings and the encounter that changed his life. At an event celebrating the 10th anniversary of his first franchise, he shared one last reflection. "It all started with simple but powerful advice. And today, I want to remind all of you, true prosperity is not measured by what you have, but by the lives you touch." He closed the event with a message for the next generation. If you are hearing this now, it is because you have been chosen to continue this legacy. Serve with love, trust in God, and never stop dreaming. Do you believe that divine advice can transform lives? Then share this story with someone who needs hope today. Subscribe to this channel for more testimonies and learnings that will change your outlook on faith and business. And tell me in the comments, what will be your next step of faith? David's journey is a testimony to the power of faith action, and service. Now it's your turn. Ask yourself, what is the first step you can take today to serve others in your business or in your life? If this story has inspired you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to this channel for more stories of faith and transformation. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. They could be one step away from their own breakthrough. And let me know in the comments, what's the biggest lesson you took away from this story? I'll be reading all the responses. David smiled as he finished the video, knowing his story could be the spark someone else needed to find their own path to prosperity. After finishing the event, David returned home. He walked through his old room where it all began. On the shelf was still the old Bible he used during his hardest days. He opened the book, and his eyes fell on an underlined verse. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. Acknowledge him in all your ways, and he will make your paths straight. Proverbs 3:5-6. David smiled. The journey that began with uncertainty and fear had become living proof of God's promise. He closed the Bible and, in a moment of deep gratitude, thanked God for every lesson, every difficulty, and every victory. In that instant, he had a clear vision. The future would be even brighter, not because he was free from challenges, but because he knew he was never alone. He looked at his cell phone camera and recorded a final message to the audience. If you think there is no solution in your life, remember that God has already prepared the way. I'm living proof of that. But you need to take the first step. Subscribe to the channel, share this message, and start your journey today. Together we can turn the impossible into reality. With that, he signed off, knowing that his mission was just beginning. David decided that his last message that day would not just be a farewell, but a call to action. He gathered his team for a special live on his channel, something he rarely did, but he knew that moment required something unique. "Live," he said. "Today, I want to speak directly to you who are on the other side, feeling like you have no way out. You're stuck in debt, your dreams seem distant, and you wonder, will I ever get out of this? I've been right where you are. But I want you to know that God isn't done with you. He has a plan, and that plan begins when you choose to believe." He continued, telling how the angel's advice not only changed his life, but also opened doors to transform other lives. With a firm voice and a deep look into the camera, he declared, "The world needs more people willing to serve with faith and purpose." Maybe you are one of those people. It is no coincidence that you are here now, listening to this. This message is for you. Take this calling and make it the beginning of something extraordinary. David then made a direct appeal. If this story has touched your heart, if you feel like something bigger is calling you, I want you to do 3 things right now. 1. Share this video with someone you love who also needs to hear this. You can be God's instrument in that person's life. 2. Subscribe to this channel to continue receiving messages that will inspire you and guide you on your journey of prosperity. 3. Leave a comment below telling us what impacted you most about this story. Your voice matters and can encourage others. David ended with a promise. In the next videos, I will share practical strategies for you to apply these principles in your life and in your business. Don't miss out, because the best is yet to come. God bless your journey, and remember, with faith and action, you can transform your reality. With that, the transmission ended, but the seeds planted in that message would continue to grow in each heart that heard it. The impact was greater than a simple video. It was the beginning of a transformative movement.